Thank you for coming to Compass Starlight. Going to do a midweek check-in reading here. Apologize for the noise. Midweek check-in. How is your week going so far? I feel a lot of pressure. I feel burdened. I feel that my last reading for the week. Yeah, that big sphere on my shoulders. I'm feeling a bit of physical pain from being tense, to be honest. You got the love. Hadarian energy, codependency, boundaries. I don't know that I've ever pulled that card before. I don't recall having pulled that card before. I've had this deck for a while. I actually looked through every single card, touched every single card, studied every single card before I ever began using them. I'm sure I've seen it before. I just haven't seen it in a long time, so I don't recall. I do not recall. Let's see here. What deck is this one? This is Tarot of the Divine. We have Death. Alright. Give my archetype deck a shuffle here. Death. I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's an ending to things that need to be ended so that a new cycle can begin. So you might be feeling under the pressure to complete a cycle so that the next one can begin. I have been, because I know that I have a nice cycle starting. I know, and yet I'm not finished cleaning up. And oh my goodness, yes, the pressure. I feel the pressure. For the archetype card, we have Faith, card number 40. Faith, death, and you get the love. That seems pretty self-explanatory. Having faith in the outcome, that you're moving toward a place of love when you can put an end to something. There is a deeper meaning, something hidden behind the curtain here in this particular deck. Let's start with Faith. Faith is card number 40, and it is the archetype for tradition. Adopt. Is that right? Adopt the wisest and noblest ideas. Why am I think I'm getting it confused with a different card. I thought that was the archetype definition for a different one, the one where she's riding the swan. Interesting. Okay, well, this is card number 40. This is Faith. Adopt the wisest and noblest ideas. That is to keep walking on your path with a sense of righteousness, not that sort of egoistic self-righteousness, but just have it in your mind to do the right thing instead of being deceitful or cutting corners. Be justified in your actions in the sense that bring justice to situations. Be honest. Be open. Here she has an open cup. It's about being open. Being open to new situations, circumstances, being open with your emotions, being open-hearted. She also has a dog here at her feet. The dog of fidelity, implying loyalty to a cause. So if there's something that you need to clean up, maybe you're tired of cleaning up, but you know that you must do it in order to, for example, if you're moving out of an apartment, you could just leave. I mean, if you want your deposit back, basically, you remove all of your possessions from the apartment and you clean it, at least to some degree, so that you can have your deposit from the apartment rental refunded to you. That would be approaching something the right way, versus leaving a bunch of garbage in the apartment and not bothering to try to clean things up. Right? That's you don't want to, basically this card is about not burning bridges. It's about exiting a situation without leaving a sense of discontent or ill will. You want to be on your best behavior, your adopt the wisest and noblest ideas is suggesting that you carry yourself and comport yourself with that noble behavior, that what was the other word? Noble, dignified. Have dignity in the things that you do and the way that you behave. But it's also suggesting be open-hearted as you approach life, people, situations, and circumstances, but also stay devoted to your cause. This is perhaps staying devoted to your direction as you're moving forward, but it's also staying devoted to the things that you need to close out so that you can do so in a dignified fashion, so that you're not burning bridges as you exit this chapter and move into the next one. Let's take a look at this card, Death. So death is an ending, but it also signifies a new beginning. It is just wrapping things up, circumstances, relationships, etc., that no longer serve you. It is logically coming to terms with an ending. It is an acceptance and a decision to let go so that you can move forward in a new direction or move forward into something else. I want to read this particular one from the book from this deck, the Tarot of the Divine, because they do have the illustrations are based on legends and myths from various folklore and fairy tales worldwide in different cultures, and I'm a little bit curious about this particular one. So let me see here. Death in this card comes from, it's the White Bear King Valamon from Norway. It's a Norwegian fairy tale. Death is a huge upheaval, potentially representing the death of one way of life and the start of a new one. Life changes irrevocably, and there is no way to go back. Change is necessary. The death of childhood is important in order to grow up. All right, it was just basic definition here that you would see with any death card. I'm not really sure about this particular fairy tale. I could look up the fairy tale, but maybe you would like to look up the fairy tale. White Bear King Valamon. And maybe you'll find out more information about specifics to this card that might be significant to you, that's something that you might resonate with. But overall, the meaning in the book associated with this card is the same meaning as we would expect from any tarot deck, with the Death card, metamorphosis, a transformation, a rebirth. Death signifies change. It is the end of one cycle of life and the beginning of something else. And we are needing to put an end to something and embrace that so that we can move forward. Next we have You Got the Love from the Starseed Oracle. And that one I read these cards, the Starseed Oracle cards. I don't have them all memorized. Hadarian energy, codependency, boundaries. So, well, let's see. This is going to be some of letting go of the codependency and establishing boundaries. You're going to need new boundaries on your new path. That goes without saying. you've clearly, if you're watching these types of readings from myself or any other reader, you are likely open to self-development or spiritual development, expansion, that sort of thing. In which case, you ought to be familiar with the notion of boundaries and how, as you are growing and changing, you are in need of adapting your boundaries and establishing new ones. Okay, I'm going to read this. You got the love, Hadarian energy, codependency, boundaries. The Hadarians are believed to be beacons of pure, divine, unconditional love, who see love in all people and situations. As a result, they can find it hard to have boundaried, independent, healthy relationships because they only see the unconditional nature of those they meet. The lovers of the cosmos, they dive in fast. They're here to learn how to love while in a separate body, to learn to love self first and then establish healthy relationships with others, to remember that the love they seek is already within them, that they truly do have all the love on their own. So I do want to pause here. There has definitely been energy in the past several months about self-respect and gaining your strength, seeing your own value. I mean, clearly with that movie Barbie, right, came out, and it was sort of a movement in a way. It came out at a specific period of time for a reason, and it affected people the way that it did for a reason. And granted, the movie has its pros and cons. I am Kenough, right? There's this importance of seeing your own value, but I think it struck a large audience because of the message that was important for such a large audience to receive at that time, which was the message being, you have value and you need to value your own self-worth. And I feel like there's been a big movement towards appreciating your own self-worth, seeing your own value, and loving yourself. And really that is the first step in healthy relationships, is having a love of self. Okay, and that's part of the reason why you're putting a death to some situation or circumstance in your life, is because you see your value in a way that you did not see previously. And in reflection, in hindsight, you decide you have to end these circumstances, you have to change these circumstances because you deserve better, or you deserve to be in a situation or relationship in which you are valued more according to your self-worth. All right, I will resume reading this book here. The message of this card is to review the ways you may need to establish healthier boundaries. Perhaps you're in a codependent relationship in which you may be losing your sense of self. It's common for starseeds to dive deep into relationships, particularly with those who feel safe and familiar at a soul level. Perhaps you're in a relationship in which you give more than you receive, or perhaps you're unsure where you stand. This card is a sign to do a relationship review and see what energetic agreements you've made, consciously or unconsciously. To acknowledge if there are relationships in which you feel anxious or powerless, in which you don't feel it's safe to relax and just be you. To assess if there are any places of inadequacy that you've used a relationship to soothe and cover up. Right? That's where codependence comes in. To soothe and cover up the sense of your own inadequacies. A relationship cannot fill those voids within ourselves. Only we can do that healing. And issues come up in relationships when individuals have not healed those parts of themselves and fully explored who they are, what makes them tick, and healed their pains of the past, whether it's from familial, having a hard time pronouncing today, familial relationships, like how our parents treated us, or from previous relationships we've experienced in our lives. The Starseed Soul Inquiry asks, do you love yourself in relationships? If so, how? How can you develop a deeper love for yourself? So, really this reading, the message here is to love yourself enough to take care of yourself. Love yourself enough to see your way out of old mildewy situations so that you can step into things that will honor you and your value. Oh, funny, I think I said, do you love yourself in relationships? When I was reading the Starseed Soul Inquiry, it actually says, do you lose yourself in relationships? I'm not sure what I said, but it's the question is, do you lose yourself in relationships? And it can be really easy to do, to lose yourself in a relationship. How can you prevent it? You really don't want to lose yourself in a relationship. You want to honor everything that is you, and you should be with a partner that also honors everything that you are. So sometimes that means taking it slow. It means taking time for yourself to recognize how you're truly feeling about different aspects of your relationship, or how you're really feeling about how you're sharing in your relationship, the things that you're doing together or not doing together. Are you giving yourself enough time to do the things that you truly enjoy doing, either with others or by yourself? Are you giving yourself enough time and space to be yourself and do things that you like to do for yourself? Are you giving yourself enough time and space to honor yourself and your wishes and desires, recognizing what brings you joy and what does not? Are you making too many sacrifices in what pleases you in order to please someone else? Those are, important questions to ask. That's where you need to set up healthy boundaries. But am I seeing it so much of a reading about setting up healthy boundaries? I hope that by this point you are well on your way to establishing healthy boundaries. And this reading, I see more prominently the need to have self-respect and how you carry yourself moving forward on your path, as well as how you carry yourself as you close out things that are no longer wanted in your life, and the focus on finishing up whatever projects, closing out whatever chapters of your life so that you can move forward. And then moving forward, I think that you have the potential for new relationships, new abundant relationships, and they could be love relationships. That would, just never rule it out, right? But you can have all kinds of new relationships coming in, business relationships, friendships, or love relationships. And as you've changed, and maybe changed your frequency, as you've evolved as a person, as you've grown and matured, and you're putting an end to past cycles and you're moving into new cycles, and you encounter new people and circumstances in your life, you're bringing to you people of a new, different vibration that matches the vibration into which you have grown, and therefore you are less likely to revert back to patterns of codependency. But it is important to remain steadfast in establishing your boundaries with these new relationships, because if you have grown and you have matured, you want to create a strong structure in your foundation. I'm getting pictures in my head, and I'm trying to articulate sort of what I'm seeing by using. I want to make sure I'm not using words that I don't mean. It's not to say you have to erect strong walls that will keep people out, but it is saying, like, this is how I've established myself from the past based on my experiences and so forth. Going forward, this is who I am now, and I need the people entering my life to respect that this is the frame of where I am, which the framing is the foundation. It's a solid structure. So you don't need to be angry or abrupt as you establish your boundaries going forward, but it's important from day one, as you meet new people and you enter new circumstances in your life, once you've closed this door on the past, that you, as you move forward, walk with an air of authority over your own life, and establish that you expect and deserve to be valued, and make sure that you treat yourself that way, because other people will treat you how you show them you want to be treated. That's the message for the midweek check-in. I've got to close this out. Time is creeping up on me. Be well. I will probably do another check-in sometime around the end of the week or for the weekend. But I hope this message resonated with you, and I hope that you are peacefully working your way through your days, and you're not feeling too overburdened. Know that you've got this, and of course, all circumstances are temporary. Peace be with you. Thank you for coming to Compass Starlight.